Before we start, I just would like to say about Wipro corporate view. In terms of, if you are not aware, ours is one of the most trusted company. We have enough social ethics awards, and Wipro's 66% economic interest is held in philanthropic trust, Azim Premji Foundation, and we are very proud to be part of this organization. While we support 1,300 plus clients, and we have 230K associates across the organization. This is just for the people who don't know. Yeah, this is an exercise. As I said, we will make it interesting. So all of you, please pay attention. You need to count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball.
So how many anyway, if you have seen that is fine now. I couldn't control. Okay, that's fine. So were you able to see the number of passes that were able to be counted? So just obviously I am going to ask you on your own this thing. How many of you were able to count the number of passes correctly? You counted 15? 15? Anybody counted more than 16? 17 you counted. Yeah, that's interesting. I will only ask the people who counted actually. Were you able to see something moving or any other things other than passing the ball? No, only the people who answered me. You can tell. So you are able to see that. You are able to see that? No, you are not able to. Anybody else? You did not see. Actually, see, human brain is wired to perform maximum focus task, which is about 7 to 8 is maximum they can focus. It is only to say that if you really want to understand little more about anything, we need to really do something else. And what AI can do is what we are going to discuss. When we have such kind of a scenario in business where you will not be able to focus on everything and you need some help, which is AI, which is going to help you, that's what we are going to discuss. So obviously, I couldn't control this particular thing, so you are able to see this. This is the thing, gorilla comes and goes, and the focus would have been actually you will be seeing white. You want to count, you are actually trying to concentrate on more than 3-4 tasks, which is not actually the visual part. Okay, I'll come to now the ground level. That was actually, just to tell you about the concept of, why we are unable to see things happening. I will talk about, business analytics team. Okay, 2 years back, if you had asked me, we were doing business analytics. Anybody talking about real-time Power BI dashboard? That's our highest achievement. Anybody says real-time, I will give you on your mobile what's happening, I will give it to you. But the problem is, when Sanjeev took over and he asked us many questions. One of the questions was, where do we start actually? And actually our positioning was, in the bottommost thing. So any Power BI dashboard that we have, it only gives me descriptive analytics and a hindsight. Even if you tell me real time, it's only now and next second it is not valid. So how this particular team was renamed as Business Intelligence and Analytics. So where do we add intelligence? So we have found our own path in terms of we need to mature from descriptive to diagnostics, diagnostics to predictive, predictive to prescriptive. We have a very clear path. I'm going to give examples also. As I mentioned, the Power BI real-time even though you are talking about 1 billion parameters and all, it is just real time, right? So we did exercise actually, initially about a year back. We have done about 3 diagnostics dashboards. One is on fixed price project, and second one is on margin simulator. Next one is on BHC simulator. What did it do? It told us not just what happened, but it also told us why did it happen. You know, they were able to tell a what if and why did it happen, and our team was able to move from one level to the next level analysis, and business team started seeing value in what we are giving. You know, that's the diagnostic power. Now, the next question was, what will you do? Obviously, the AI and the prediction part. If you ask me, the leadership got trained by IIM Mumbai, Professor David Simchi and Manoj K. Tiwari. They taught us Gen AI and what it means for SCM. That's where I got trained along with Manoj and multiple leaders. So from there, the journey is that what will happen? You know, as I mentioned, Sanjiv's first question was, show me one dashboard where you have some insight and the foresight. You know, all dashboards give some trend data and all that. Tell me what is going to happen next week. Tell me what is going to happen tomorrow. What will happen next quarter? These all we all struggle with. We use a lot of jargons like forecasting and other things, but there is an element of error which is going to be coming in. So we had to move our needle in terms of doing predictive analytics. So we are going to show 2-3 samples of this, what we have done. Definitely, we have moved from diagnostics to predictive, and definitely we want to move to the final level, which is like, now the next question is, how am I going to make it happen? Can I tell that? As I mentioned, deep learning neural networks has capacity to tell you not just what is there you can see, but what is there inside also it can tell. Okay, I am telling you the capacity of neural networks. If it wants, it can tell you, it can reproduce and tell you what is inside this also. So that is a power. So we are not there yet. So I will talk about predictive analytics, and we see that if we do our jobs well, we are going to do decision intelligence, and maybe it can go to persona based. I am limiting to decision intelligence now. If you are able to give the right decision to the organization and the signal saying that what happened, why did it happen, what will happen, okay? At least for a quarter or 2 quarters. I think all of us struggle. You know, somebody was asking, are you going to give 90%? Are you going to give 95%? But to be very frank, unless you do test it out for 2-3 quarters, I don't think even I can comment on accuracy, right? So whatever we are going to present here, we are going to tell you something which we have already utilized, seen the 3-quarter accuracy. So that way it is a reliable thing. Any question on this? Yeah, this I will just show you what exactly is Wipro operations framework and where all we can actually influence. We have colored and kept here, and we have done little work on demand shaping, which we are going to talk, and a bit of whatever is colored this side, these areas are little touched. Yeah, obviously, this is again a word cloud of, I think, all these words, I think, have been used multiple times. So some of the things is what I think all of us are going to be, you know, daily basis getting bothered about. So it is only to say that we are trying to address some of the issues that are seen big or small here. It sounds resonates with you. So as I mentioned, when I'm talking about demand shaping, you know, we don't just remain at prediction level. As I mentioned, we need to tell management or leadership like COOs, you know, what are our inferences? What are the interventions? I should be doing a business leader conversation as an analytics person, not just saying that this is the trend or something like that, but I am also going to give my inference and my intervention for the particular activity. Here actually, I'm going to take support of Sai. Okay, we will start with, we will quickly cover 5 steps what we did for the demand shaping using AI. Okay, Sai, you can start. Quickly cover each one of the steps. I will pitch in and we will try to conclude.
Yeah, hi everyone. Our first step in the demand shaping is data modeling. Initially, when we received the demand data, it had lot of excessive filters which we have filtered, and then in the demand data we noticed that our weekly demand had a cumulative data, which means that each week we have all the demands that were created in that quarter. But in order to do the training for the model, we needed the demand on a weekly basis regarding which were created in that week itself. So we had to subtract all the demands that were created in the previous week in order to get the demands that were created in this week. And when we were doing this, we were fine when it was at an overall level. But when we are going into finer details, such as a skill level predictions, we noticed that the demand data had some negative values, which was due to some of the demands being deallocated after being created. In order to prevent these negative values from disturbing the model with the noisy data, we had limited them to 0. And after getting this processed data, then we had next made it ready to feed it to the model. For our prediction, we have experimented with these 3 models: AutoTS, Transformer Encoder, and LSTM. Because we had less amount of data, the AutoTS was not able to give the accuracy as much as we expected, and we observed that the output of the AutoTS was mostly sequential or in incremental manner, which is not in line with the complex patterns which we observed in our data. In order to ensure that we get better accuracy, we had then switched to Transformer Encoder model. In Transformer Encoder, we were observing that we were getting a good result when we were doing predictions at an overall level. But when we are going to finer details such as skill level prediction or sector level prediction, we observed that the accuracy was reducing. And in order to mitigate this problem, we had then switched to LSTM model, in which we observed that it was giving a good prediction both at overall level and also at the finer level such as skill sectors.
Yeah, while Sai is mentioning that, we did evaluate all the things, it's not that we are going to stick to one particular thing. For this particular demand shaping exercise, this is our learning. For example, for skill clustering, we are very much fine with the transformer model, and you are going to see the result that we have developed for that. So there is no stickiness for one particular thing. What works well, as we mentioned, we have seen 2 quarters accuracy of both models and then talking about it. You can go back. So we will now talk about demand categorization. Sai, you stand that side.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all know that it is important to prioritize which demands we want to concentrate on. In order to do that, we need to know what is the quality of the demand. Here we have categorized our demand into 3 parts: 1-star demand, 2-star demand, and 3-star demand. We have done that based on these 4 features, which is cancellation rate, demand duration, time to fulfill, and skill rate. As we know that if a project is having more cancellation rate, then it is better for us to prioritize the projects which is having lesser cancellation rate. And because we are using same amount of energy and time in order to do the fulfillment, it makes sense for us to prioritize the demands which are having a longer duration, as it provides more revenue for the organization. And some of the demands are also difficult to fulfill when they are having very less time. So it makes sense for us to give more value to demands which are having a more time to fulfill, such as 2 months, in which we can also upskill our employees, or we can even hire external demands. So based on these 3 features, we have derived the individual scores for them. And using these 3 scores, we have derived a final total score by which we are categorizing the demands into 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star categories. The 1-star demands are having high cancellation rate, lesser demand duration, and lesser lead time, whereas the 3-star demands are having less cancellation rate, high demand duration, and higher time to fulfill. We can observe the values here. In the 1-star demands, it is having a higher cancellation rate and lesser demand duration, whereas in 3-star demand, we are having higher demand duration and lesser cancellation rate. This will be helpful in prioritizing our demands.
Yeah, for the business person, when we are talking, this is usually talked about prioritizing. We are giving a qualitative output which is very clearly it's easy for the person to decide. There is no, after doing this, it looks very straightforward, but for a business person, if you are giving this much qualitative, we have actually looked at even skill rate. We are not putting up the data for confidentiality. Otherwise, we would like to focus on higher revenue and higher revenue accretive demands. That's our focus. Now we will go back. Now we will talk about.
Initially, when we have started the training of the model, we began with the demand creations and the cancellations as a covariate for the prediction. And the nature of data was such that we observed that there was a hike of demand sometimes, and when there was hike in the creations, in the following 3 or 4 weeks, we observed that most of those demands were being cancelled. And this was causing a noise in the data, due to which the accuracy was of reducing for the model. In order to mitigate that, we had to try other alternatives. Then we found that predicting allocations gave a better result. Then we have gave allocations, creation, and cancellation as an input to the model. And finally, we got the allocations as output, which is having a greater accuracy compared to the creation data.
Yeah, thanks, Sai. So we are in the 4th step now. Obviously, training and prediction is the most critical step. We have used a multivariate model where other different parameters are considered. Hyperparameter tuning is done. We are not stopping it at static, one-time thing. There is an incremental training that is happening with the latest data, and definitely when we repeat this, that continual learning applies back to the model, and model is continuously learning and giving the accurate thing. And we can also validate on a periodic basis this particular thing. So as I mentioned initially, all this is being done for us to decide what is the inference and what is the intervention. So when we have done all these things, when we have done a 2-quarter ahead predictions of fixed price, time and material project, on-site, offshore sector, all the cuts of things information have been given to the business leaders, and they have been able to start their planning, which are the top skills that are to be trained. We have shown very clear trend of what skills are actually increasing in trend, what is declining in trend. So there is a very clear proactive information available for us to do the planning. Pyramid correction, here we talk about, freshers or new graduate inductions kind of a thing. The pyramid correction obviously has to be done. When we are in a services organization, continuously we need to provide the value to customers back. The SOWs and contracts are signed in a way that we are going to provide more value year on year. So this is something which we need to do on an ongoing basis. It can be on-site, offshore mix. The last point what I have put is, when we do this, I take a lot of time to do, for example, for one client. One client, we did a huge exercise, we took some time. That I applied to when I do it for next unit level, I don't need to do the complete exercise. I directly apply it. The transfer learning happens to the other units very fast. So first one, if I had taken 2 months, the next one I will do it quickly and give it to the business teams. This is how we have had the journey of, predictions. I'll talk about a bit of interventions in the little later slides. What we will do is we will tell now the actual examples of what we have provided as the value back to the business. So you can speak about it.
When we were doing for the skill categorization for a client, we observed that there are a lot of skills, and if we wanted to do analysis or prediction for those skills, then it was very tedious task because of the large quantity of it. And we wanted to ensure that we do not have a large clutter of skills and know what category this skill belongs to. In order to do that, we have used LLM model, which is Llama 2 with 7 billion parameters, and we have fed all those skill data as an input, and finally asked them to categorize into the categories. And here we can observe that these 7 categories is the final result, and we can see the result below, where each of the skills is very good, is having very good classification with the respective topic.
Just imagine in case if these skills are displayed in our platform for all the employees, and if they have to adhere to this. So we are actually doing the value add by which the focus is very clearly on. the thing. So we are actually using the AI power here. I am going to talk about the demand, LSTM demand prediction that we talked about. We used 5-quarter data and we have predicted 2 quarters ahead is what I told. We are in the middle of the second quarter. You are seeing here the number of demands that have been 1 star, 2 star and 3 stars. The prediction percentage is given here. We are seeing everything above 90% here. When it comes to the current quarter, in M2, if I see M1 plus M2, the percentage will be somewhere at 76 to 75%. It gets covered up, when the quarter ends, actually the percentage improves. And this particular thing, it's like everybody is getting used to, okay, if I am having a 1-star demand, either I have to move it to the next category and next category so that my priority comes first. Otherwise, more or less, it will get cancelled. We have seen from the data, and business leaders also are going to take actions based on this categorization. This is a representation of sector demands. Obviously, we need to give it to respective sector heads. Sector 1 person will be interested in knowing how his performance is with respect to the actual and other things. So we have to give the predictions, not just overall Wipro level kind of a thing. We need to feed it to the respective business leaders. What I mentioned, you can see here, M1 plus M2, prediction percentages accuracy is slightly lower. It will move higher when we close the quarter because majority of the demands gets fulfilled and the actual gets closer to the prediction in the month 3. We have the similar cut for the skill demand predictions. We have just put it as skill 1, skill 2. Didn't want to clutter with some names. This is the important thing. I will leave it for your reading here. When I say inference and intervention, it is not just something which has happened, historical thing or what, but we are trying to tell what is that we can do further to improve things. There is a clear intervention that needs to be planned, from each of the business leader, whether it is GO1, GO2, GO3, whether it is fixed price project. We are not stopping at just giving the data or something. We are helping them to take the good decisions. That's what I meant when I started with decision intelligence with. I'll quickly cover the next few slides. This is one important thing. What you see here is a picture of live dashboard. It's a screenshot of this. You can see business forecast, actual and AI predictions. This we have provided for all the business leaders. They have been seeing this for at least last April onwards. We have this live dashboard accessible to the business leaders. Our endeavor is to increase this particular thing to number of parameters. Like as I mentioned, it can be demand, it can be various other things. Just to tell you, this particular thing now is moved to our CFO office. They are going to extend this billable headcount predictions for the billable person month, or what it translates to the revenue itself. And CFO team is actually going to talk about what will happen in Q3 and Q4. Now we have given recently, last week, we have given the predictions to the CFO team. They are going to make their budget plans and other things using our prediction data. Obviously, there is an element of business forecast, which they will validate with the business leaders. Just to tell you, Manoj is not here. I would have liked to have him talking about this. It is his passionate work. He has done a few years back itself in Wipro. The similar work, whatever is done for the prediction for Levista's customer. Actually, it is a Harvard case study. This happened in this calendar beginning, and we are very proud that our work is not just being used inside, and it's a case study outside. And Manoj is available as a mentor for us. We are very proud of this. So the work that we are doing is very deep, and we are open for improvement. This is different types of things which I am going to tell. So meta learning here, if you see here, usually pattern recognition was already there. But along with pattern recognition, you want to also build additional intelligence. Like if the similar color cube is placed some other place also, it is able to do. So the power of neural network is moving from just identifying the colors to actually this, meta learning. This is one of the phases. This is what I talked about, the unseen view. As I mentioned, what we usually see outside is one particular thing, but when you do a neural rendering, actually you will be able to see the complete thing inside. Last slide. This is the last thing. Transfer learning is what I mentioned. So when you're done for one particular unit, you don't waste time, extending it for the other thing. That's a simple analogy for transfer learning. Okay. Yeah. There is a reason why I had put this picture in the beginning. The first picture where two people were standing like this were the people who were doing demand predictions earlier. They can go for a holiday and enjoy. And this is me and my team. We will also go for a holiday after this kind of a thing. So power of predictions is not just giving it, it should give confidence to the business leaders back, and we are trying to help the team. Thank you very much, Shiva, for this opportunity, for telling what we have done, and on behalf of Wipro, thank you again. Thank you once again for all the great participants.